Hi and welcome to Sign High. I'm Alana Best.
Kia ora. My name is Mita Moses.
Today, we're going to talk about sports. I love the All Blacks, as well as another team, the Deaf All Blacks, who are not as well known.
I'll visit a referee, a rugby league referee from when I was playing, and I will explain my name sign.
Now, we visit Daniel from New Zealand Deaf Sports to ask a few questions about what sports deaf teams play here in New Zealand and overseas.
Hi there, my name is Daniel and I'm the President for Deaf Sports New Zealand. Deaf Sports New Zealand is a national organisation focusing on deaf sports. We have 5 member associations who are affiliated with us. We have lawn bowls, basketball, 10-pin bowling, 8-ball pool, and football. Football have recently become affiliated with Deaf Sports New Zealand. We also provide individual athletes and teams who wish to represent New Zealand international opportunities to compete. Deaf Sports New Zealand provide opportunities for individual athletes to compete at an international level. Recently we had a young deaf athlete who competed at the Asia Pacific Deaf Games, and she was awarded a bronze medal, which gave her a real sense of pride and confidence in herself. Prior to that, we had 3 athletes who attended the Deaf Olympics in Sofia, Bulgaria. Unfortunately, at that time, we didn't get any medals, but the 3 of the athletes really felt a sense of confidence, and I think it's had a positive effect on their lives. Deaf Sports New Zealand currently don't have the resources to work with individual athletes on a one-to-one basis. We employ 1 member of staff part-time, and his focus is more on a national level. He works with teams who wish to represent New Zealand on an international stage and the member organisations who are affiliated with us. Deaf Sports New Zealand currently are in the process of applying for funding, so then we can employ more staff to focus on a local level, more of a grassroots one-to-one basis. We'd like to provide the support for our individual athletes.
Mihaka is a deaf adult who loves sport. We'll have a chat with him about the sports he loves. Good to see you, bro. How are you?
Yeah, feeling really good, thanks, Mita.
So I heard you're quite the sportsman.
Yeah, I've played heaps of sports, but I guess my favourite would have been hockey.
Oh, I see. And so as one deaf player with the hearing team, how did that work?
Yeah, but, I was really assertive, and as the only deaf player, it went quite smoothly. I could communicate with everyone and I knew what the moves were, so I just watched what they were saying.
And so with your teammates and the coach, was it easy to communicate with everyone and get in with the team?
Yeah, they gave me heaps of good ideas themselves. They had a whiteboard that had the picture of the field so that I knew where everyone was going and I could follow the action.
And so with your own children, do you encourage them to play sports?
Yeah, I really love and encouraging kids to play them because it gives them energy. They learn to be really active, and got to encourage that.
Thanks for sharing. Great information. Today, we're going to learn the sign language for different sports. You can teach your mates and then sign with them.
Sports. Game. Play. Rules. Non-contact. Throw. Kick. Skip. Grab. Goal. Look. Team. Score. Netball. Soccer. Hockey. Bull rush. Rope. Ripper. Swimming. Touch rugby. Do you like to play sport? Do you know the rules? Ripper rugby is a non-contact game. Throw the ball to me. How many goals did your team score? For sports day, do you want to play netball, rugby or hockey? On the weekend, I play touch. Plenty of deaf children and adults play team sports with hearing teammates. Maybe you're wondering about protecting hearing aids from water, for example. We asked Maya from the Halberg Sports Trust. She will explain more.
Kia ora, my name's Maya Lewis. I work for the Halberg Disability Sport Foundation. My role is a disability sport advisor, and the regions I cover are Northland and Counties Manukau. My role is to enhance the lives of physically disabled New Zealanders by enabling them to participate in sport and recreation. So we work with physically impaired, vision impaired and hearing impaired people. Up here in Northland, hearing impaired people can get involved in a variety of sport and recreation activities. There are some surfing days that happen for people with all physical disabilities, one out in Turakaka, the other one out in Ruakaka, obviously over the summer. And all people with disabilities get involved with them, as well as some adaptive paddleboarding. So, you know, there's also some opportunities within New Zealand, and there's a World Deaf Games that happens on a regular basis that started in 1924. And so the New Zealand Deaf Games happens on a 2-yearly basis, and it's going to be in Hamilton in October this year. So if people are wanting to get involved and be part of that, then they should get in touch with Daniel at deafsports.co.nz or jump on the website, the Deaf Sports New Zealand website, and have a look at the games and the timetable. There's a lot of sports involved there, so a lot to be offered if you are hearing impaired, as well as being able to be involved in mainstream clubs. As part of Halberg All Sports, one of our programs, we have a few tools to offer. We have an activity fund which helps to support physically disabled, vision impaired and hearing impaired young people 21 years and below to get them involved in sport and break down the barriers. So the funding that we could potentially offer hearing impaired young people, the most popular thing is an AquaKit Plus, which goes over cochlear implants and helps to is a waterproof cover when they're swimming, doing swimming, so therefore they can still hear in the water. So that's probably the main thing that we offer through our activity fund. The other tool that's on our website is Find a Sports tool. So there's a lot of mainstream clubs throughout the whole of New Zealand that are inclusive and include all people with disabilities. So you can filter through region as well as impairment to find out an inclusive sports club within your region.
Mita has been involved with sports for a long time, and his sign name is For League. He will be talking to his referee, Sonny, about what it is like to have a deaf player on the field.
Kia ora. Sonny is here with us today, Sonny the referee. I have some questions to ask him. So, when I first came to the field as a deaf person, can you describe what that was like?
Yes, it was a senior match. Mita was playing for a club way back then called West End Jumbos. There was a bit of a knock on, and then I called a scrum. But Mita, having the ball, walked away. So it was more so the other players reminding me that Mita had a hearing problem, and then they started tapping Mita on the shoulder, and then they explained to Mita what happens next. During our refereeing, our communications is not only about the players playing the game, it's also for the spectators and officials that are on the sideline. So the majority of our refereeing is by signals. We have signals for scrums, we have signals for penalties, we have signals for knock-on, we have signals for sin bin, we have signals for sending players off the field. So the signals are also to indicate to spectators and officials what also is happening onto the field. And with Mita being deaf, he was quick to pick up the signal.
Come on. Practice some sign language about sport until you know them all.
Sports. Game. Play. Rules. Non-contact. Throw. Kick. Skip. Grab. Goal. Look. Team. Score. Netball. Soccer. Hockey. Bull rush. Rope. Ripper. Swimming. Touch rugby. Do you like to play sport? Do you know the rules? Ripper rugby is a non-contact game. Throw the ball to me. How many goals did your team score? For sports day, do you want to play netball, rugby or hockey? On the weekend, I play touch. Today, Mita speaks with Louisa from Ngāti Hine about a barrier-free, accessible marae. Learn about how you can do this too.
So our next kōrero is about accessible marae. Can you explain this to us?
The things that we wanted to put together was about those barriers that were the things that were barriers for our whānau who were wanting to access their marae. So the barriers were around having a sign language interpreter available, our whānau who weren't able to wear their shoes into the marae, having guide dogs, and also for our kaumātua and queer who there's an expectation that they would stay 3 nights at any hui, and our kaumātua and queer become very unwell. And what could the marae do to address these issues? And so that's where the concept of accessible marae came from. And the idea around this was to actually visit marae in Tai Tokerau and just talk and promote those things that are important for our whānau, so that the marae is a place where everyone can access, where everyone is valued and where everyone has a role on the marae. And it's not about looking at our disability, it's about looking at what value everyone can bring.
So Te Piri o Te Hā as a group has a number of different initiatives and ideas behind it. Can you explain to us about that?
One of the, as part of our group, we had a young girl. Her name was Esther Muriwai. Now Esther is my niece, and right from an early age, she had what's called bronchiectasis. So, and her contribution to the concept of accessible marae was we couldn't do without her, because her youth vitality and her youth point of view actually enhanced the group's conversation. Unfortunately, Esther passed away, and not long after she passed away, the group came back together, because we've always been talking about maybe looking at a name for the group. And so the other person for our whānau Turi they had a great leader. His name was Patrick Thompson, and we wanted to merge those two people when we were looking at the right name for the group. We wanted to look at how we could use those two people as the impetus for the name, and hence you got Te Piri o Te Hā. So Esther, with her bronchiectasis, as Mita shows, it was about her breath of life, and for Patrick Thomas, because in the whānau Turi world, it's about your hands. Your hands are your communication. So the hands were about Patrick's hands lifting and supporting the breath of life, which was Esther. And so hence the name Te Piri o Te Hā.
You can have a look on the website for more information about deaf sports. Sports. Game. Play. Rules. Non-contact. Throw. Kick. Skip. Grab. Goal. Look. Team. Score. Netball. Soccer. Hockey. Bull rush. Rope. Ripper. Swimming. Touch rugby. Do you like to play sport? Do you know the rules? Ripper rugby is a non-contact game. Throw the ball to me. How many goals did your team score? For sports day, do you want to play netball, rugby or hockey? On the weekend, I play touch. Yes, deaf people play sports in local, national and international teams. We even have deaf players that have won medals, so there's no need to exclude deaf players. Just learn a few signs to communicate with them. Don't assume things are too hard to involve a deaf person. Just remove the barriers and work through the issues with your whānau to make your marae accessible to everyone. Thanks for watching us. Sign High will be back next week. Bye.
Kia ora.